Hi, Lizzie. Okay, so let me check my notes. And okay, so today he went over 80% psychology, 20% mechanics, to maximize the business that you're in and also the business that you're about to become, and optimizing and maximizing your capacity. He mentioned about the 1% changes, and that what really makes your brand and speaks to your audience is the vulnerability and the passion. So yeah, like personally, to be able to make a video online saying like, oh, I went through this, or like whatever, and then someone connects and you're like, oh, because you went through this, you're kind of like me, and so, oh wow, you're successful now, so maybe I have a thing or two to learn from you. And also he mentioned that 5% of businesses make 1 million or more. And then he went further on to say that it's crazy that there's so many people that go into into the business world, when actually it's sort of like is out to punish you the longer that you're in the industry, the longer that you keep doing business. So yeah, but because if only 0.00000000406 gets 10 million or more. So it's a gladiator mentality, like that the longer that you're in, the more chances that you're gonna die. And then he mentioned that it's vital to pivot, to learn how to pivot, that change is a friend, not something you fear. And that the most adaptable not only survive, but then learn to thrive. And then the rule number one is to participate in your own rescue. So like, don't wait for the government to save you, or like your mom or someone else to save you. Like, you have to save yourself. And then model the people that have already done it before you. And your motive does matter to your ability to finding answers. So he said that usually businesses, like life supports life. So for instance, if my business is, if I'm only focusing, I just want to make money for myself, like if you have enough like willpower and like intelligence, whatever, you will be able to do it. But usually he said, when you put a deeper meaning behind it. So for instance, like, okay, so in my business, I provide cars to people, and you could say like, oh, I want to provide, the safest vehicle ever, to provide more families to be able to spend, to like see each other, or like drive across states, and like, and without any accidents, whatever, like, and so your mission or your vision is more to help humanity. And he says that's when like things like life supports life. So I guess that's more like when you're like, yeah, but it's more compelling, right? Wouldn't you want to like support a business that is out there to help humanity? And in the middle of COVID, I'm going to help many people. If you can help save the biggest issue in the world, get the biggest financial profit. So he said like billionaires are people that have found a problem that many people have, or that it's very expensive to fix, or something, or just like afflicts a lot of people. And then if they solve that, then that's an intent, like a huge opportunity, and many people are gonna want to buy that. And then, so it's important to know what your mission is. And then we discussed what the blessings were that we got from being in like COVID times. So one could be spend more time with family, or have a pause to make sure that you're going in the right direction in your life and you're not just mindlessly going along. And the truth will set you free. So be able to have the clarity of like looking where you are, to then find out what's the next step. Participate, take notes as if you're going to teach it. So definitely teaching it right now for you. People usually check out during the things that they're not really good at. So make sure that you're checking into like the one that you don't want to, because it's probably like a weakness that you might want to work on. Practice the basics. He was saying, in sports, the best people have to practice the most basic exercises, so that it's like seamless once you're like in the field, or you have to perform. You don't even have to think about your performance, because it's already ingrained in your muscle memory and like who you are. So yes, and people are rewarded publicly for what they practice privately. Listen to your consumers. So And then he said something that I loved, which was energy. There is no replacement for energy. So like when you're high energy, you see opportunities, you get excited, you see, you make links, connections. You're like, oh, I could do this and that and blah blah blah. But when there's low energy, you're mainly focusing on the negative, on the problem. I mean, I say problems because there's many ways of looking at a situation that was unforeseen. So anyway, and yes. And then he mentioned this, which is the threshold of control. So, like, you have your comfort zone. So, these are all the problems that you've already figured out in your life. And so, this is your threshold of control and your comfort zone. So, but then life, of course, because it never stops, then it drops, an issue, a problem outside, and you're like, oh, holy fuck, like, oh, I'm gonna try and ignore it. It's gonna go away, or like someone else will fix it, or whatever. But then because life never stops, there's another problem, another situation, something that you need, and they keep popping up until the point that you're like, I can't take it anymore. And then you confront it and you face your fears and you solve it, and that's when your comfort zone or your threshold of control expands once more. He talked about his example of when he had to like cross the borders because he didn't have work permit in Canada. Yeah, so breaking that threshold of control is hard, but you can do it. If you get enough problems, you break the threshold, and then there'll be more problems, and then you keep growing bigger. But then the quality of the problems, so there will be good quality of problems to break. It's like when he was saying like, oh, like you grow, and so you might have two companies instead of one, or two houses instead of one, and that provides, that expects of you more management time. So that is a quality problem to have. And when you have a problem, most people, what they do is either ignore it, or if they can't ignore it, they blame it. And they usually blame someone that will not be able to talk back, like the government. And when actually what you want to do when you have a problem is to then find a solution. And that solution is only a concept or an idea of something that you think will work, but nothing works until you take action. And problems are a sign of life. So you have problem, and then you got a solution, and then you got the change. What makes you a good leader or a business person is someone that is solving quality problems. So I thought that was fascinating because obviously problems are a sign of life. The only place where there are no problems is when you're in the cemetery. And I thought that was fascinating, like someone that takes on responsibility, someone that goes up the ranks, is someone that can take on those problems that not every, they're not comfortable. But you cannot solve all problems at once, so you have to prioritize, to face all the things, become problem solver. They have to have the psychology and the why. Then someone came up on the screen and said what they enjoyed the most from previous business masteries that they had done were add transaction value, add services, get more customers, value chain. And then ask the question, what business am I in? Another question, why am I here? Like really answer these questions, like write them down. What have I implemented since Business Mastery in August? What progress have I made since Business Mastery in August? What do you need to close the gap? Where's the time that you broke through the threshold of control recently? And burn the boats. Optimization chart is really good. Live to the max. Be a crazy optimist. That was Karen Morales. She has an outstanding story. I don't know if her story is like online, for you to read, with like an amazing woman. So make sure you're not an operator. Who's your ideal customer? Who's your ideal client? Then make them an irresistible offer, and then over deliver, and that's how you get raving fans. And really, really get to know your customer. Like what do they fear most, and what do they desire most? And you become fearless, which is not someone that doesn't know fear, but someone that fears less. Yeah. And then knowing that you have the warrior, the king, queen, the jester. There's different ways of handling situations. 48% of what we do in a day is habit, which is a good thing because we can change it, but it takes time. but that means that a lot of our actions are unconscious, so that's a bit worrying. And then he said the secret to well, he didn't say the secret to happiness, but he said that growth equals happiness, because when you're doing something new, it it involves uncertainty, but there's growth in that, and you just push through. Like, because this woman was like, oh, I just need to get more confidence, and to be honest, I said the same thing. I was like, what I need from business mastery is to get confidence, to trust myself that I'll do it. And then he was like, literally just do it, because when you're doing something new, you'll inevitably, like, you will have those things because there's uncertainty, because you've never done it before. And then when but he's like, just do it, just take action. And that's so important, because being stuck, not doing something, is like the worst situation, because then you're not learning. Like, if you take action and it's a mistake, then you learn. If you take action as the right thing, then you also learn that that's the pathway to go. But if you take no action, then there's no learning, there's no growth. Do more for others, add more value, do things that are uncomfortable. I guess that's like learning things that don't come as naturally to you, and other things. Okay. And do it many times, so many times that I don't care how uncertain fear I feel, and then just do the next thing. Get a good manager, for instance, if you're not a manager, if you're an artist. I would love, yeah, I want to definitely get a manager. And then, yeah, what business am I in? Call the customers, try to understand them. What is the irresistible offer? Over deliver, and then that's how you get your brand. Measure, and love thy neighbor as you love yourself. Constantly change to over deliver. Be on brand. Better way of getting to people's attention. I don't know what that was. Good news travels fast, bad news travels faster. Social media, generate adding value, always show up your best. What are your core customer? That they will do the marketing for you, so they will rave about you, basically. And what is your competitive advantage, and why should I buy from you and not anyone else? And that's pretty much, yeah. And then answer the question, why should a customer buy from you? Why should a customer buy from you? Just you. And make it really compelling, make it like sort of in your gut level, something that you can deliver without any pauses. For instance, if I were to do this exercise, oh my god, it's because, okay, why would a director or producer choose to work with me? Because I have really good work ethic. I've trained really well, so I have a broad range of work that I've done before, and I'm also at this moment in my career affordable, so it is a bargain. And I guess, okay, but then you get to the point where you're like, okay, but like, why do you love acting? And then that's where like the magic comes. And I was actually told in the feedback that the way that I spoke about like my profession and what I love to do and my vocation, that's when it was very compelling. Because when I answered, just facts, I guess it's not as compelling, because it's like, yeah, well, anybody could say that or whatever. And I quite agree. I think like, we're more emotionally driven human beings rather than, I mean, no. Like, it's just, I remember being in an econ class and they were saying, like, everybody thinks human beings are rational decision makers, but actually their purchases seem to be very emotionally based. And I was like, no joke, marketing is all about emotions, right? Okay, so why? So just answer those questions. Why should they buy from me? And then don't say the process. Like, don't say what you do in your job. Say what's the benefit for them. I guess that's like, because no one. So if someone comes up to them, so if I were to say like, oh my god, because I'm the best actor, that's one way. The other way is to like chat with them and be like, because your project is so phenomenal, you deserve the best quality of acting. And actually, in this particular case, I relate to this character because of XYZ reasons. And really, I guess the focus of the conversation is more on the product that they already have, which goes in hand with Donald Miller's book of, when he talks about branding, which is, the customer is a hero of the story, and you as a business are helping them be the best version of themselves, be happy, have more money, or whatever they want to achieve. That's all the time I have. Hope it was helpful.